Boards and booze, booze and boards, drinks and beers, fight some hordes. Drank too much, forgot our swords, ran back home, filled our gourds, got drunk again, sang some chords. Boards and booze and boards, with Mickey and Jeb. Hey everyone, welcome to Booze and Boards, Mickey and Jeb. I'm Jeb, this is Mickey.
What are we playing today, Jeb?
Hi everyone, welcome to Booze and Boards, with Mickey and Jeb. I'm Jeb, this is Mickey.
Whoa, I just had some deja vu.
Did you?
Yes.
Wow, that's interesting. I don't remember.
Why is that interesting?
Oh, because we're playing Deja Vu. Fragments of Memory.
Yes, bad jokes.
And actually, I think there's another game out there by somebody else just called Deja Vu.
Oh. So this is Deja Vu, Fragments of Memory.
Yes, so there is a difference. This one is by Asteria. It says Asteria Board Game Creation. I just, in my head, was Asteria Games. I don't know if that's what they're actually called or not. Asteria is the key thing to remember. 2 to 4 players, 10 and up, and it says about 45 to 90 minutes. This was a Kickstarter that I backed for once. We've done a lot of Mickey Kickstarters. Yeah.
You see the anime? Do you see the anime?
Yeah. So, Asteria Games, they released a game, it might be like 2 years ago or something like that, called Fallen Angel. And I backed that on Kickstarter, and I got it, and it took a while, but I finally read the rules, got Mickey to play it. He enjoyed it, and we were like, we're going to do a review of this. And while all that time went by, they actually made another Kickstarter for Deja Vu, and I backed that.
And the review is only half done.
Yeah. So I backed that. This came in, and now we're actually getting to Deja Vu before we get to Fallen Angel. Because we do want to do Fallen Angel. That was a fun game.
Yes, it was, I don't want to go into a whole thing of that, but it was definitely an interesting for the people that like worker placement type of things. If you don't want to wait for us to finish our thing, you can go look it up, but anyways, it was very interesting.
And Deja Vu, the game itself is, I guess it's kind of about a girl who's lost her memory, and she's trying to, like, find fragments of her memory. That's kind of the theme of it.
To, like, put it back together?
Right.
Okay.
And I don't know if I can really explain it. There's, like, a tableau of different shaped tiles, and there's things that go on it, and you have cards. I don't know how to classify.
You'll get to see that in components.
Right. I don't even know if you'd call it, like, it's not really a worker placement. It's not...
Is it abstract?
I guess so. That's probably the best way to say it. So, yeah, definitely check out our gameplay and components and all that stuff.
So we got 2 to 4.
Yep.
Says 10 and up.
Yep.
We haven't played yet, so can't let you know about that. Says 45 to 90 minutes, so that's a pretty decent time. On the back, it says it's designed in Hong Kong, but by no designer. I don't know if it's got anything on the front. So evidently the entire city of Hong Kong designed this game.
It was in Hong Kong, not by Hong Kong.
It's designed by Hong Kong.
Right. So, yeah, maybe we'll find the names of the creators. I don't have them off the top of my head, so.
Well, you never do.
I actually put it in the pop-up for our last game. So.
It's so bad.
Yeah.
Because we just want to play the game.
It's true.
But we also want to give the people that create these awesome games credit, and we just forget.
Yeah. So, I think that's all I have to say until we actually get into the gameplay. I don't know if there's anything you...
No, because this, like Jeb, as of this recording, he literally got it yesterday, so I haven't had a chance to look at anything. So he's already got to read the rules.
And after we do this segment, I'm actually going to teach Mickey how to play it.
Right, so anyhow. So we'll be right back with components, and then, you know, our normal thing. Components, mechanics, gameplay, review.
Yep. Alright, so we're back with the components of Deja Vu, Fragments of Memory. So we've got everything out in front of you, I believe, except for, like, some other variant stuff.
We'll show you real quick at the end. There's a little expansion and some extra stuff.
Yeah.
This is the basics here.
Alright, so there are the Nameless Girl tiles, which each player is going to get one, right?
Yep. So these are basically a little player board, and they have all your starting stats, and everybody is exactly the same.
I'm not sure if the backside, I think, is everybody gray?
The backside must be like a variant I don't know if Jeb can clear it up, but so here's a colored side, okay, and then the gray side is like kind of totally different.
Yeah, they show all kinds of stuff.
Right. So,
when you're playing the base game, you use the color side.
Right, and then then Jeb said there's a solo mode, so I'm guessing that this is for the solo mode.
That would make sense because there's only one of them,
because it's like totally different. But for the main game, you pick your character, basically color, and all this side is exactly the same. The gray ones are exactly the same, and then like I said, the one card that must be the solo mode. I'm not 100% sure on that, but that was the only thing that makes.
All right, next up is the Nameless Girl meeple.
Woo! Nameless Girl meeple. She's gonna fly around the galaxy.
Yep. There's a variant that uses Dark Princess, so they have one of her, which we won't be using. Next up is the Memory Hive.
All right, Memory Hive is this right here. Basically, this is kind of like a discard space for these. Once you see the mechanics of the game, you'll understand. But that's what that's for.
All right, then we've got the flower tokens.
Flower tokens are over here. They're pretty flowers. They're all the same, pretty flower.
There's victory point tokens.
Victory point tokens all over here. They have, let's see, 1s, 2s, 3s, 1s, 10s, and 5s.
There are the memory fragments.
These are memory fragments down in this corner right here. They come in 3 different colors, and they have 1 to 5, 1 to 6, 1 to 5. 1 to 5 pips on them.
Yeah, the color corresponds with the shape as well.
Right. So as you can see so as you can see the orange, because I just had them lined up and then moved one. So there's 5 of them, and you have 1, 2 pips, 3 pips, 4 pips, 5 pips, and it's all the same for the other ones.
All right. Then there are the impression bits, which there are 5 different shapes: sun, moon, star, lightning, and raindrop.
Alright, so here is a moon, here is a star, here is a raindrop, here is the sun, and here, oops, I did star, what was the, who do I don't have, and the lightning bolt. So there's the 5 different shapes, and there are, what,
6 different colors?
6 different colors.
Yep. Then there are the nebula tiles, there's 15 of them. And in the rulebook, they actually have a name for every one of them, which I thought is pretty interesting. I don't know if it comes into play in other modes, but in the normal mode, it doesn't.
Here's what the tiles look like. They are also double-sided, where you have a whitish background, which, as far as I know, is just so you can play with whatever side you like, unless Jeb saw something in the rules that.
I didn't look at the variant stuff, so I don't know what that uses.
Okay.
And then there are the impression cards, which will be used. There's a gold back, a silver back, and then a blue back. So in a 2-player game, you only use the gold backs. In a 3 to 4 player game, you use the gold and the silver. And then the blues are used in all games.
Right, because this is like the draw deck, basically.
Right.
And so these cards here, so this is one set that are basically all white. You're going to line up, and they are in like I'll call it like a universal market that anybody can have the chance to acquire it. And the same with these, except they're color specific. And until we get into gameplay, I'm not going to try to explain any of that. But they line up also in a row, kind of like a common market. People have the ability to acquire these. The game's all about victory points, just in case you haven't figured that out. Victory points. There's victory points on the cards. So.
All right, and then there's a bag that they included that can be used for, I guess, put
those bits in,
or these, and to randomly pull out. And there's the playmat, which they provided as well, which is really cool because I was not expecting it. I wasn't paying attention in the Kickstarter.
It is nice, and it fits you're going to build a galaxy, and it kind of, if you try to adhere to the mat, you won't go all flying all over the place, and the game will be confined to about an area that it should be. At least that's kind of the way I took it. Like, if I keep it on this mat, then I'm not doing. And then you don't have people trying to do stupid stuff while they're building. It's like you have to stay in these confines.
Right. And then the last thing is some expansion components they gave, which Mickey got excited.
Oh, I did. Look at the pets. They're so cool.
We're not going to play with them in our game or in the video recording that we're doing, but the pet expansion is pretty much every player gets a pet that gives them a unique ability.
Ability, right. But each ability you have to spend some victory points to be able to pull off. So there is a trade, even though the abilities are kind of cool. Again, like Jeb said, because we have a hard enough time getting through a regular game, let alone give you guys all kinds of expansions. So we don't usually add those, but if we start getting requests for somebody that says, please go back and play with the expansion, well, that might force us to do it.
Yep, and that's everything for components, so we will show you how to set up the game. Alright, so the first thing you're going to do for setup, since we have the playmat, put the playmat on the table.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, if the game doesn't come with a playmat, you can just put it out there. Like we just said, we thought it was kind of a cool idea and, kind of fits with the background and everything, but anyhow.
Yep. Next, you're going to build the cosmic map. And what you're going to do for this is you will start with a single random tile out of the 15. So
I'll close my eyes.
Alright, and you place it in the middle of the table and place the girl meeple on top of it. Then, beginning with the starting player, so you'll have to determine a starting player. They are going to randomly take 2 nebula tiles and connect them to the tiles that are already on the board.
Okay, I'm going to not look and take 1 and 2.
And one of the key things...
I was going to say...
go ahead.
Are you going to talk about how do I connect them, Jeb? How do I do that?
A valid connection between any 2 nebula tiles is one tile's point touches another tile's edge. And every nebula tile on the map must be connected to at least 2 other tiles. Alright, so Mickey did his. Then in clockwise order, the next player will do it. So I will go...
Okay, so I take 2 more, and that one is still touching 2. And let's see if I can make this one touch 2.
Made that more difficult for me.
Yes, I did. Make you go off the mat. That is touching 2. We have a galaxy, or whatever it's called, the universe.
The cosmic map.
The cosmic map.
Alright, next you are going to randomly place 4 impression bits and 1 memory fragment on each tile. So it's probably easiest to do them one at a time. So let's do all the memory fragments at okay.
No, go ahead.
Okay.
I'm just getting this ready.
Alright, so I've got the 15 memory fragments. You can put them in the bag and randomly select that way, or you could just blindly pull them from your hand.
Those ones aren't too bad. There's a lot of these. The other chips.
Alright, so there is a memory on each tile now.
And now these get 4, if they stay on, of these things. Randomly out of the bag. Alright, so there's all the chips. I would highly recommend that you actually put these things face down because you need to be able to see the shape. But we're not too worried about that.
Yep. Alright, so once all those are placed, the next thing you are going to lay the public impression cards individually face up beside the map. So this depends on the player count. So in a 2-player game, you would only use the ones with the the gold backs.
So that's these.
And the other ones as well.
Right, but I'm starting with these colored ones. Alright, so there's public impression number 1 row, and then the gold back, the second one.
And the white ones are called the Dragon Valley scenery.
Right,
So
which
you
is
just put those in number order.
Very cool looking. It builds a panoramic type of view, or very reminiscent of Takedo, or Takedo. Jeb's not correcting my Japanese, so I must have been close.
You got it right the second time. You corrected yourself.
Woo!
Alright. So next thing, you're going to shuffle the regular impression cards and create a face-down deck. And that's the blue. And we just put them next to those.
Yeah.
And there's a discard pile next to it.
So we just went on the other side.
Yeah.
You could, I mean, if you were scared to get them messed up, you could go up top. Whatever, it was just within reach.
Yep. Then you are going to place the memory hive, the flower tokens, and the victory point tokens beside the map. So we put them there. We'll probably...
We'd be a little bit further spread out. We're just trying to... They just need to be close by to everybody.
Then the next thing, everyone is going to take one Nameless Girl tile and put it in front of them, making room on its left and right for the short and long-term memory, which we'll get into later.
So I will take my typical blue, and Jeb will get a nice, bright, hot pink for him.
Thank you.
The rest of those can go to the side.
And then after that, everyone is going to draw 5 impression cards, and you keep 3 and discard the other 2, and the 3 that you keep, they're going to be in your hand, and they're kept secret from other players.
Okay, so for instance, there's 5 cards, right? Jeb would pick 2 of these, or I would, depending on whose hand it was. Doesn't really matter. And 2 of them to discard.
Yep.
And 3 to keep. Yep. However, if by chance any of these cards in this hand was exactly the same as another, like you got a pair,
right.
you discard 1 and redraw until you don't have a pair of anything. So you need all unique cards. Then you decide which ones you're going to discard. And that's how you start the game.
The game's trying to keep you from having duplicates in your hand. So the last thing that's going to happen now is the start player will begin the game, and the turns are done in clockwise order until the end game condition happens. So that's everything for setup.
If we didn't say it during intro, it's a victory point game, so you're trying to get to you're trying to get the most points, not to a certain number.
Right.
Alright, so that's it.
We'll be back with how to play. Alright, so we're back with how to play Deja Vu. The game is played over a sequence of rounds, and each round has 4 phases. So the first phase of a round is planting a flower. And what this entails is you can move the Nameless Girl meeple, where the space is equal to how many feet you have. And on your girl tile, there's an inherent 1 foot. So in the beginning of the game, she can only move 1 space. And she has to move to an adjacent tile, I guess. After you move her, the last tile that she lands on, you're able to take a flower on one of your cards and exchange it for one of the memory fragments that are on the tile. Let's say later on in the game she did have a flower right there, and Mickey wanted to move her 1 space. He would move her 1 and then exchange that with the memory fragment. And that's how you plant a flower. You can only plant 1 flower per turn unless a specific card says otherwise. And this can also be done either before the recollection phase, which is phase 2, or after the Deja Vu phase, which is phase 3. So moving the girl can happen at 2 different points on your turn. The next phase is the recollection phase, and what this involves is, I guess they use the term sewing the bits. So what you would do is pick any tile on the board, and it does not have to be where the girl is, or there's no connection to the girl at all. You just pick 1 tile, and then you're going to pick up all the bits that are on the tile that you pick. And that is the starting tile. So what you will do is pick an adjacent tile and place one of your bits on it, and then you do that again and again, and you cannot, so Mickey places one there, one there, one there, and then that's where he places the last one. So that's the last tile. You're not able to backtrack or anything, but what happens is when you place the last bit, you will take all the bits of the same color as the one that you placed. So his last one was pink, so he gets to pick up the 2 pink bits on that tile. One rule about this is that the last bit that you drop cannot be a white bit. They are special. They're like wild cards, and only abilities allow you to do that. So after the recollection phase is the Deja Vu phase, and in this phase you are going to spin the bits that you collected. So Mickey has the 2 bits that he has collected in the previous phase, so he can either construct cards, grow flowers, or save them. Alright, going over constructing impression cards, you can either do what's called an instant construction or a progressive construction. The instant one is you either take a card from your hand or one of the cards in the tableau that's in the public field, I guess, and you construct using the bits that you have. So I'll let Mickey go over how to do that.
Okay, so all of the cards in the game have symbols in the top left, even though one's in the tableau or market, no, you're building a tableau, whatever. They have the bits that you see on the board. So in this case, this has a circle and a star. So I happen to pick up a circle and a star in the previous phase. I can place on the card.
The key is you have to build from the top down.
Okay. So, oh, right. So, like, I have to, like, I couldn't just do that and leave that open.
Right.
But I did this. And in this case, since I instantly completed this card, it actually goes to this side, and it's my long-term memory. If I didn't have the star, it would stay on this side. The bit would stay there, and it would still be in short-term memory.
Yeah, that is called a progressive one. What it does is you're not able to complete the card, so you put it in your short-term memory, and there is an inherent 1 spot in your short-term memory, and you can increase that throughout the game while you construct
so you
cards.
so you have the chance to, store them for when you complete them. If, for instance, I had a teardrop instead, let's say that was my last one, I didn't have a star, I can store on the treasure chest circles. Notice that the card in the short-term memory also has a treasure chest circle, but I don't have the ability, I don't have access to that ability yet because it's not in my long-term memory. So it doesn't come active until it's on this side of the girl.
That was saving impression bits, which Mickey just talked about. And the last thing is growing a cosmic flower. And on the girl, she has an inherent ability that you can spend 3 bits to place a cosmic flower on top of that spot. And you cannot, say, spend 6 and put 2. Like, that's not allowed. Only 1 spot can hold 1 flower. And when you actually pay the 3, it has to go on here, because there are other cards that can hold flowers. You can only construct it and put it on there. That's everything for the Deja Vu phase. So once that's done, you can do the planning, the flower phase, if you didn't do it earlier. So just keep that in mind. And then the last phase is the meditation phase. And what you're going to do is discard any used or unused bits to the memory hive.
So what happens is, if that's a completed card, it slides over to long-term.
Yeah, so say Mickey did the instant construction of that, so...
And then at the end, like Jeb was talking about, they move over to, what's it called again?
Memory hive?
The memory hive. So the way this works is, once a card goes over here, it also scores at the same time, and you're going to get points. There's numerous bits with different numbers on it according to what you need. You can do the math. So The first thing to look for is, did I get any bonus points? So the way you get a bonus point is if any of these bits match the color of the card. These aren't green. However, if I had this instead to complete that card, I get 1 bonus point for the green, nothing for the pink, and then I look to see how much the card scores, which is a 2.
But that's the end game.
But it's the end of the game, so you don't have to worry about that right now. So these are like, the colors are like a bonus thing. All right. So, but remember that these are also, like, all the cards have some sort of victory point at the end of the game, too. But the important thing to remember on the cards is that you don't have to place the right color. It's just a bonus if you can. All right. And it's probably going to be more important, particularly early in the game, that you get some of these powers going so that you're able to do more things. And then, you know, I mean, obviously, if you get lucky, it'd be nice to have some bonus points right off the bat. But you do want to be able to, you know, move further and hold more and store more. And there's just a lot going on, so you want to pay attention to those things, too.
And once somebody puts the last bit into the memory hive, what's going to happen is you replenish the board. So what you'll do is take all of them out of the memory hive and randomly put them back on the board. And what you do is you start with the tiles that have no bits and put 4 on. Once those run out, you look at the tiles with 1 bit and then fill those up, and that's kind of the order.
Etc.
Yep. And then after you do that, you are going to draw new impression cards up to your hand size. So her inherent hand size is a 3. You can increase that over the game. So Mickey had played a card, so he's able to draw back up. And then one of the key rules is that if you draw a card that is the same as in your hand or in your tableau, then you're supposed to discard it and draw a new card to replace it. So let's talk about the end of the game, because what we just walked through was 1 turn, and after a player does their turn, it goes to the next person and back and forth until the game is over. And the way to trigger the game end is if a player has 10 or more cards in their long-term memory. So once that happens, all of that person's opponents get 1 final turn, and once all those turns are done, you are going to total the victory points. So the way to do that is you're going to start by counting all the victory point tokens in your long-term memory. So right now Mickey has 1. Then you will count all the constant victory points, which are the top right corner. And then you will do all the variable victory points, which some of the cards over there,
like some of the, particularly the white cards have, I don't remember, we don't have these memorized yet, but they have like, this equals 22, so whatever you have to do to get those 22 victory points, that would trigger that. But the rule book has what all these symbols means.
And I think all of them are the public cards, so like all the public
cards are the ones.
Conditions.
Yeah, the ones in the ones in the deck are static. They're just a certain number. These ones are
based off the number of
these ones is a good example of I know what they do. So if I got the yellow card, which it works the same way, I have to get 3 circles, I can take the yellow card. And then what this means is, out of the 10 cards in my long-term memory, how many are yellow? If I have 1, I get 1 victory point. I have 2 yellow cards, I get 3. If I have 3 yellow cards, I get 6, 4, 5, etc., etc. So, and these colored ones actually are all exactly the same, just a different color of card.
Okay. The white impression cards that are in the public area, those are usually based off of the what are they? The memory bits. There's a good amount that are based off of the memory bits, and one of the rules when scoring is that when you use memory bits to score one of the cards, you can't use that memory bit on another card to score it, so you can't double up on it. And then the last thing, once you get those counted up, the Nameless Girl, on her card, she has an effect that says you get 3 victory points per linking between impression cards. So the impression cards actually have numbers in the bottom left, and if you have a 1 next to a 2 of the same color, then you would get 3 victory points for that. And then if you had 1, 2, 3, you would get 6 because there's 2 links. So that is the last of the victory points. And then when everybody totals up their victory points, you determine the winner.
Right. So recap real quick in case that didn't make sense. Real quick, there's just a lot of different ways to get victory points in here, and trying to remember every single thing to click in your head. Maybe it's easy for you, maybe it's not. The mechanics of the game are fairly simple, so my approach to a game like this is, let me just play it. I'm just going to take cards, I'm just going to do the mechanics, I'm going to see how the stuff falls into place, and at some point during the game, or during scoring, I'm going to have an aha moment, and then I'll know kind of what I should go for earlier in the game than my initial run. Some people see this stuff instantly. Let me play and see how it feels and what happens, and then it's easier for me to formulate strategies going ahead. Doesn't mean I'm always gonna do well, but at least I know what's going on.
Great. So I think that's everything for gameplay. So we will set everything up for a 2-player game of Deja Vu.